Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hello, and welcome to I Don't Know What You're Talking About, a podcast between a married couple where we talk about things that aren't necessarily in the middle of our Venn diagrams. Tonight is a special night because we have our very first guests with us tonight, which are Robbie and Jenny. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You're going to be talking that quiet the entire time.
I don't know.
Sort of their real names that here. I asked you like 3 times if you wanted a different name. More importantly, I have an important question for you guys. You introduce us.
They did.
I just did.
But like, we're another married couple. We're friends.
Robbie and
Live in
Jenny,
a small town in Oregon.
please tell us about yourselves.
Our last name,
Address.
driver's license numbers.
We've known each other for a long time.
25 years. Jenny,
Yes.
we've talked about you on the podcast before because,
okay. News to me. Thanks.
yes, because this isn't my first podcast, so we've
Oh, right.
let our
Yeah, you
listeners
referenced
know.
our historical podcast.
Exactly.
Ever.
And we talked about the silent guest, how that was the funniest part, that we always had a
That was
silent
brilliant.
guest.
Who was that?
Each episode had someone who was a silent guest that couldn't speak.
When we didn't let someone talk each time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
Just, like
I
component
didn't
for a
even remember
podcast.
that,
Yeah.
'cause we-
I remember certain silent guests having trouble with it, where I
Oh,
was
for
like, can the
sure.
silent guest please remain silent?
Well, everyone was probably drunk, so it was probably really hard.
Oh, for sure.
That's so great. God.
I think as an important way to get to know you, I have a question about math.
Oh.
Come to the right table.
Makes sense based on who you're married to.
Jenny, I haven't
Based
even
on what
told
you're
you about the podcast Poog. You guys will do that? The podcast Poog. Do you know about that
Oh,
podcast?
no. I
Like-
thought you were making fun of my maiden name.
I thought you were saying the dog
It's
weird.
you, Erin.
Hug.
There, now I really am myself.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. Yes. We can edit out anything.
Cool.
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 Did you say you're in a fugue state?
Oh, that's a really good psych joke, babe.
Thanks.
I like that.
Are you into psychology,
Is that-
Jenny?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are great guests so far.
A fugue state. It's where you lose your memory. And you,
I guess I have no
it's like
idea.
amnesia.
It's amnesia?
That movie where that guy shows up at that town and he doesn't remember who he is. I have a fugue state when it comes to trying to talk about any movie that I've seen in the past.
Oh, I think that's what I brought up on the podcast.
Really?
Yes.
But I can't ever remember something until I watched it 20 minutes of it.
Well, because on one of the episodes, I explained the whole movie of There Will Be Blood to Erin, which she swore up and down that she's seen, but she thought it was True Grit and No Country for Old Men and like any movie that has sort of a dusty
Western.
motif. No Country is like borderline.
There will be. Wait, there will be blood, not No Country, right? Or what are we
No
talking about?
Country.
I explained.
Old man movie.
No, I'm saying
It's true.
There will be blood. I guess is Western-ish.
Yeah,
set
it's
in
like
West.
1905, 1911. A dusty men's
Oil
movie.
cowboys.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on. Poog state?
Poog, the podcast.
Okay,
How
sorry.
do you spell that?
Poog.
I
It's
don't like
Jacqueline Novak, the stand-up comedian, and Kate Berlant, the
She's
actress.
the one who looks like Tyler's wife.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
They just had a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the two of them.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
My favorite podcast. It's like them talking about wellness topics and like stuff like that, but kind of in an interesting way.
Because they're Canadians.
Yeah, it's not like making
Funny.
fun of it. It's like, I mean,
No, but like just the
yeah, it's just like funny women. Yeah.
Funny.
So this most
Math
recent
question?
episode was them talking about some math topics, and this one part of it blew my mind because they were struggling with simple subtraction, and I was like, wait, what are they talking about? They were like talking about how like 12 minus 8 is confusing because are you talking about 12 listeners at home? Jenny threw up 4 fingers immediately.
I just want everyone to know I can do that real quick with my hand.
But their point was, she was like, it's confusing because are you talking about it from the end of 12 or the beginning of 12? Do you subtract from the end of 12 or the beginning of 12? So they were talking about from like they're thinking of on a number line, like there's a spectrum of space between each number.
No, there's not.
I know, but it's
Finite.
yeah, of
Gary,
course.
is that not a thing?
numeral.
It is.
I mean, it's all discrete versus continuous.
that's
Like, it's
great.
the result of counting. or the
But
result
I
of
didn't that
measuring,
some
like-
people struggled with this and
Oh.
think of it on this like continuous number line.
When it
And when
comes
they
to-
talk about it like that, I'm like, okay, I see where their brain is like why it's confusing. It's
When
like
it comes to time,
yeah.
that's where that makes sense because an hour begins and ends and overlaps kind of in this weird way. And a lot of people can't do their own time sheets because they get confused by time.
You're right, because also when people say things like 3 days ago, you're like, wait, is today one of those days? Or like,
Yeah.
I
I think time is
I
much
can
more
see that.
pertinent to this debate about numbers, whereas they just don't understand math.
I don't know if this is similar, but it's something that my brain doesn't do is writing tiny left ear to C.
Oh,
You think
don't
just-
get me started.
Don't even.
It's
I don't
a
want to hear
circle.
about it though.
Thank you.
Go right
It
so
makes
far, you're going left.
Perfect.
Robbie's on my side.
No, it doesn't.
it's a point on the circle that you're moving. So it's always going.
Yeah, but
Mm-mm.
there's always it's
You are
360
either
points.
taking your hand and turning to the right, or
But it's
turning
it's like focused on the top of the circle, but the bottom of the circle would be moving the opposite way.
I'm rotating with
half of the
nut.
circle is going right.
I'm
I think
spinning
you are the nut.
with.
Yes, and half the nut
Just
is
be
going
the
right,
nut.
and half the nut is going left, around the bottom to the top, and then it's right.
I mean, it's a simplistic
No,
phrase
it's
to
a simplistic
attempt to help
phrase.
you, and
What
if
are
it
you
doesn't help you, then let it go.
Yeah, but everybody says it like
you
like
don't-
it just
yeah.
makes so much sense.
I think the rule does help me and it makes sense as long as I'm like from the top. Don't try to get creative. Like
You're trying to be creative when you're doing
I
carpentry work,
carpentry,
screwing shit.
tightening wood. No, I just think it's
the
not
screws you're tightening,
for
it's not the
creative
wood.
minds. I think it's for very simplistic thinkers.
Okay.
So
Like left brain, right brain
Well,
stuff.
so they're talking about how they struggle with math because they're high functioning brains, or they're trying to overcomplicate. They're like trying to like,
They're not bean
the-
brains.
yeah. They're not
no,
being-
baby brains.
she describes it
a
like that.
number
She's
line or
like,
beans.
it's like thinking of it as beans. You have 12 beans and you eat 8. Obviously, there's 4 left. But if you're thinking about 12 on this number line, then it gets more confusing. Of are you starting?
I've had this argument with my students where I had a policy about late work, and I was like, you can turn in late work up to 1 week late. And so something was due on like a Tuesday at noon or something, and then my students are like, oh yeah, I have till the end of the day on Tuesday the following week. And I'm like, no, like once it hits noon, that following Tuesday has been over a week. Like,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
So is there a certain type of people that are like this?
Well, I'm wondering about like if you're thinking about beings instead of just numbers, like just put the 12 up, put the 8 under it, draw your line with the minus sign, and you get 4. Like that's what my brain is doing. Like people are talking about this now about like whether you think visually, and so I think people think differently. Like, are you throwing up 12 beans in your head and like scooting 4 to the side?
You should see a doctor if you're throwing 12 beans out of your
But-
head.
But it's not. I mean, it's like
Throwing
instantaneous.
up, when I say throw up, I'm talking about the projector in your brain.
The projector.
So you know
that's-
when your teacher used to throw it up on the projector?
Oh yeah.
So wait, I have an
The overhead
important
projector?
question. When I ask you 12 minus 8, you're drawing those in your brain like that?
I see the visual number of the 12 and the 8.
You visualize it.
The 8 underneath with the minus sign and the big.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
My brain
And that's
instantly
4.
is like 12 minus 8 is 4 because 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like there's just like a 4 gap in there. Like I don't like there's of course there's 4 above 8.
Yeah, I don't think I see anything.
This is one of my.
Or
favorite
maybe
things,
I'm
actually.
seeing the dots on the numbers from when you learned how to
Beans.
count.
But
They
Kate,
weren't beans.
but Kate Berlant, their name, Kate Berlant does what you're talking about.
Oh,
With
yeah.
every math problem that Jacqueline gives her in this episode, she's like 42 minus like I
Yeah.
carry the 1
Why did they teach me that if they didn't want me to do it in my brain?
for complicated things. I don't know. For paper.
People are so different with this stuff. You're
Yeah.
like 42, take away 26. Some people are like, well, if you borrow part of that number and make it a nice or even number here, it's easily subtractable. Like, like so many people do math crazy different in their head.
Yeah. That's a complicated.
It's interesting.
Interesting.
But even with the thing like 12 minus 8, like how we all visualize it.
9 of 12 broke my brain.
Yeah. The beginning of 12 or the end of 12.
Well, here's
Yeah,
another part
that.
of my personality. When you say something, what side of 12? No, we're done. And that conversation's over. I can't entertain things.
To that extent.
I studied philosophy in college, and I'm done.
And I left it there.
I'm living a concrete life moving forward. Don't try to tell me about mystical, magical things. I'm over it.
You said you have a podcast you're into right now?
Yes. So
Tell
I'm
us more.
obsessed with That's Messed Up by Lisa Traeger and Kara Klein. That's our last name. Anyway, but I was telling you this funny story. So I had a barbecue, Robbie and I had a barbecue, and we had a bunch of people over, and there was a couple of women who we didn't really know. They were just kind of like friends of a friend that came over. And so I was talking about, I really love that show, Law and Order SVU. And they were like, I love that too. And I was like, I'm listening to this podcast. And she's like, I love Law and Order SVU. And then I go, yeah, that's messed up. And she goes, I'm sorry. I was like, no, that's the name of the podcast. That's messed up. She thought she was sick for liking the TV show.
Get out of my house.
Law and Order SVU is the best.
You sicko. Get out of my house.
Wait, Jenny, I have such a similar story.
Yeah.
That involves you.
Well, tell me.
Our friend Tessa was over last weekend, and
No, she was at our house last weekend.
or sorry, it was 2 weekends. Two weekends ago,
Okay.
we got caught.
Don't lie to me.
And because the name of this podcast, you know what it is.
The acronym is IDKWY.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember now.
So Tessa was here, and we were talking about the podcast, and she said she thought we were talking about the hiking podcast, like ours. And she was like, "Oh, the podcast with Jenny." I said something like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And she was like, "The podcast you did with Jenny, where you guys were hiking," and I was like, "No, I know what you're talking about. The podcast I'm talking about is I don't know what you're talking about."
I thought a lot of those episodes were lost, but my phone recovered them somehow. So we might splice in little pieces here and there.
We were funny, right? Wait, let's record this magic.
I think we
Gotta
need
capture this
lightning
lightning
in a bottle. I think we need a montage of it, like
That would be great.
clips, you know, clip
Audio
show,
montage?
audio montage,
Is that a thing?
I'm sure it's called something
Like a clip show.
clip show, an audio clip show.
Not as good of a word.
Although montage usually has like music over the visual.
Like
like
running with a
background
trainer.
Under them drunkenly talking about things.
Is the word montage instinctively,
French.
is it tied to visuals?
I mean, when you say it to me, yes. But I was just talking about the definition.
All
Oh,
I
sorry,
pitch-
I'll Google.
All I picture is
Wet Hot American
Wet
Summer.
Hot American Summer.
Clip show is a terrible phrase. That's that's nearly as great as
It sounds like a bad kids YouTube
it's
show.
actually what we show our kid is this. I showed you the YouTube kids picture show. It's incredible. It's just
Oh, it's so
pixelated
good.
vehicles moving slowly across a black screen
It's so good.
with fun electronic simple music behind it, and our toddler freaks out when he watches it. He loves it. Jumps
Yeah.
off the couch and he dances. Glosh, the word glosh makes sense. I need to go.
Webster's defines montage as the process or technique of selecting, editing, and piecing together separate sections of a film to form a continuous whole. But then there's like the third definition down says the technique of producing a new composite whole from fragments of pictures, text, or music. So you
Okay.
can do like a visual montage.
So if you have 20 beans, you can make a montage of 8 of those beans.
A beatage?
Yeah.
We've been making so many beans.
Oh my god, Erin is so into
How
That's
many
why I
beans
found
do
a
you-
dried bean on your floor.
We've been doing dried beans like every other day and like
Just
heirlooms.
Like eating dried beans.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I thought it was
Oh,
sourdough,
like
but it's
prepping.
dried beans.
It's dried
Yeah.
beans. Yeah.
I mean, it's
doing,
amazing.
like,
it's so cheap,
Really good for
so
you.
much cheaper than canned beans. You don't get the cannedness of your beans. And if you want to make falafel, here's the secret: you have to use dried chickpeas.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You can't use the canned chickpeas; they will fall apart, and you just have a bunch of crushed chickpeas floating around.
I think
oil.
we've tried that. I know we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like did it at home one time and then went to Robbie's sisters to make waffle and he was
yeah.
excited about it and they all fell apart. He was like, what did I do wrong?
Like, it was like 2 or 3 times in a row. They kept falling apart. It worked once at home. And I was like, I'm not smashing enough. And it was like squeezing the chickpeas.
Squeezing the beans. You know what's my new favorite thing to do with chickpeas is to blend them up just a little bit, not hummus, but like
Bake them?
just exactly.
Oh,
Bake them so they're crispy.
And put 'em
Throw
on
'em
Caesar
like a
salad.
Salad?
little protein on the seeds.
Whatever.
Yeah. It tastes like breadcrumbs on a Caesar.
I'm very excited that you guys are on tonight because it meant that Erin and I did not have to come up with topics to tell each other tonight because as the first guests on the podcast, you guys are going to tell us some things that we don't know about. Now, I'm curious, do you guys not know about each other's topics?
We do not.
Oh. What if it's the same?
No. Definitely not.
All right. So you guys are each going to share something with us that I assume is not in our Venn diagrams. And the way we decide who's going to share first is you guys are both going to play a rock, paper, scissors game. You guys can decide if you want to do a boom, boom, shoot or a boom, 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 shoot. I know some people do like the rock, paper, scissors shoot.
And whoever wins just gets to pick who goes first.
Oh, we're just out of that Holland.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, 2 scissors. Oh, Jenny's rock. But we usually do best 2 out of 3 around here.
You didn't say it.
Yeah, I did. So you guys started so fast.
We don't fuck around.
We talked about it.
You should go first because I think mine's funnier.
Okay. Probably. Mine's not an inherent
Yours
funny
is going to be
topic.
interesting.
Wait, if yours is funnier, you should go first because people might turn off towards the end of the podcast.
No, best stick around for this, baby.
It better be hilarious.
Wacky necromancy is ball.
Dead people, but they're not dead, but they're dead.
What are we doing with their bodies?
Just kidding. It's not. Anyway, go on.
Okay. I am going to tell you guys. You might have heard about this, but there's details that blew my mind right now. It's Wikipedia it earlier. The Missoula floods.
I know what you're talking
You
about.
have no idea what the Missoula floods are.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
I've
excited.
been to Missoula, but I've.
Me
well,
too.
this is something that affected Portland and the whole Willamette Valley.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I know I've listened to you talk somewhat about this, but I'm excited
You don't
because
know. Oh, cool.
you really like to know water stuff.
I was going
You
to say,
like
like,
talking about water stuff.
watersheds are up your alley, right?
Can I
His river.
can I ask why it's called Missoula, or is that part of what you'll be explaining?
I mean, you can ask, and I will explain it.
I'm ready.
So the Missoula floods were a number of floods that occurred during the last ice age. So scientists estimate that they occurred between 15 to 13,000 years ago.
Wow.
And this event happened, there's evidence of it happening at least 25 times, and it could have happened up to 40 times, but they're not really sure how many times it happened. But essentially, in the last ice age, there was this massive, like, basically, all Canada was glaciers, which is ice. And there was this massive glacial lake in what is now modern day Montana.
Wow.
And I think I read it was like at least half the size of one of the Great Lakes, Lake Michigan. Is that one of them?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
What is it? Erie,
Holmes.
Michigan.
Holmes?
Huron. Holmes is the acronym. Huron,
Oh.
Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior.
Wow.
Yeah, and then-
Never heard
No,
of
I've
that.
never heard of an anagram for it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Acronyms.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, Lake Holmes? What?
That's what I thought. That's not one of the Great Lakes. So this massive glacial lake, and multiple times, supposedly, there's basically a massive ice dam that was creating the lake, and it would burst, and all the water would come flowing through eastern Oregon into the Columbia Gorge,
Whoa.
and
From Montana?
from like what is Montana, there was a massive like ice/log jam a little bit further down what is now the Columbia River from Portland. and it would flood all the way, like flood the entire Willamette Valley, flood all the way up, flood most of or a lot of eastern Washington, and just created these like massive lakes that would basically have the whole region underwater for like 40 or 50 years until they slowly drained out. And it supposedly happened 20 to 40 times over like a couple thousand years.
Now, does this have to do with like the way our region is shaped? Are like certain parts of Oregon, Idaho, Washington shaped differently because of these flows?
Yeah. So,
The whole gorge?
I mean, the gorge, the water flowed through here because the general area, like, it's going to flow into these valleys, and the valleys were there already. But there are, especially in eastern Washington, there's these areas called like the channeled scablands.
That was nice.
Wait, you said this happened like 13,000 BC? Is that how time
Well,
works?
15 to 13.
You go backwards from zero?
So if you
Well,
have,
it depends on if you're counting beans or if like 1 year starts at the end of
So,
the year or at the beginning.
yeah, 2024 beans
Back.
So it was,
That's
minus
2000.
Right.
15.
So
11,000
around,
BC. AC.
right,
So it's native.
11,000 to 13,000 BC.
You got to take Christ out of it. It's just
B.
just be.
That's what I've always done.
But no, it was so like in
Was
the
there
19
dinosaurs?
What?
Was there dinosaurs?
This is the Ice Age
Wait,
Oh, after dinosaurs?
after dinosaurs.
Okay.
but wait,
haven't
there's
there
been lots of ice ages, right?
Right, it's the most
Contextualize
recent
me.
Ice Age.
Yeah, I need context too, because when was the most recent ice age?
I think this was the 15 to 13,000 years ago. Was not that long ago.
In the grand scheme.
In the like the dinosaurs was millions of years ago.
I'm with you, Jenny. My first thought was like,
Sloths? Like giant sloths? Or no?
Oh, the megafauna?
I love
Megafauna?
Maybe some megafauna.
it so rarely comes up in combo. Megafauna?
Megafauna.
Okay. So, like, there's humans or
are-
no?
In North America, good question.
I'm on
But when it's like ice bridge happening, people walking, but oops, there's a giant lake. I can't actually get to land right now.
So, I mean, this is a audio medium, but if you want to look at a map of a massive ice sheet and the orange areas are where.
We can put this on the Instagram.
Okay.
That's a great pick for the Insta.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I typed into Google what was happening in the year 13,000 BC,
Okay.
and the AI overview,
Oh,
which I
thank
don't
God.
trust, says many things were happening. Okay. But one of the second one says Lake Agassiz, a major water outbreak occurred on Lake Agassiz, which drained much of its water into the Arctic Ocean. Is that what we're talking about?
No.
No.
We're nowhere
Oh.
near the Arctic Ocean.
Man, it's very wet back then. Is it say the Sibyllian culture began around 13,000 BC and ended around 10,000 BC?
Civilian?
Sibyllian and the Qadan, Q-U-A-E-N culture.
So
Were
we
they
got
in North
people
I think
cruising
it's-
around somewhere.
People are, Homo sapiens.
The world is freezing, melting, freezing, melting.
Much colder than it was before. Well, it wasn't freezing, melting, freezing. It's just frozen.
It's frozen. Ice age. Like
Like thousands of years.
winter is coming.
Much
it's
colder.
Here.
It is
It's cold for a long time. That's maybe the inspiration for winter is coming.
for
Ice ages.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yes, probably the origin for.
Okay. Winter is coming. Ice age. Water pouring out. Just like the country. Got it.
Yeah. So essentially, there was a giant lake held back by ice. The ice broke. The water came rushing down into this region
The distance
incredibly fast, and it is an incredible amount of water.
the distance you're talking about is hard for me to wrap my brain around, but I guess the amount of water, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that. I mean, the Columbia River Basin reaches in like there are rivers that flow into the Columbia that are connected to go
They go to
Montana
Salmon.
into Canada. Like it's a massive area.
If you were a
Yes.
fish, you right.
If you were a fish, you could
Good
go
point.
to Montana.
You could start in there. You could swim your little ass up all the way to Montana.
But no, speaking of the amount of water, this is the part that I wanted. That's why I chose this, because it blows
We
my
cheers.
mind. The maximum. I'm going to read you some facts. The maximum flow speeds
Fast.
of the floods approached
I mean, I think I know what they were.
36 meters per second, or up to 80 miles an hour.
Damn.
Whoa.
So, a lake.
Oh my God, can you
water
imagine
body
falling
the
in that?
size of like a giant body of water going 80 miles an hour down the Columbia Gorge,
Freezing.
filling the Columbia Gorge.
It's freezing cold. Had your surfboard though, and you were in the right place, right time.
It's like the end of Point Break.
You would
Yeah,
need
That
some
is what
thickest,
Bodhi lived for.
thickest sweatsuit.
But recent flow rates estimate that the biggest floods are 10 times the flow of all current rivers on Earth combined.
What?
Wait, say that again.
So the flows of these floods, when they were rushing like down the Columbia Gorge into the Willamette Valley, 10 times the flow of all current rivers on Earth combined.
Okay, wait. So here, let me go take it back for a minute, because I know, Robbie, you love talking about rivers and flow, but flow is like a scientific term.
Yeah, I don't
Most
understand
people
what
don't
flow
know.
means.
So, what's the
So
definition of a
usually,
flow of a
like
river?
in the United States,
A measurement.
flow is measured in cubic feet per second.
Yeah.
So it's a volume of water moving through a space.
So speed and amount,
Yeah.
both components come into it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about calculus. It's like an
Right.
He's a math guy.
instantaneous rate
A
of
lot
change,
of
really.
beans.
When you said
So
flow,
many
I was
flows
thinking
in
it had to do with how much water and how fast it was going. So my brain
Wow.
It is,
tried to get there.
He's always talking about flows.
Always talking about
This
flows.
is where our Venn diagrams don't overflow.
I'm getting I'm flowing.
We're overflowing right now.
Overlap is where I'm always trying to listen to stuff about rivers, and I'm like, can we just go swimming? But I listen.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, if you were somebody in the Sibyllian culture in 13,000 BC and that flow was coming at you, you were fucked.
You thought, yeah.
I don't think you could get near it because there's like ice everywhere. Or, but maybe like you just like were like, fuck you, Dad, I'm reading, and like you went north for a while, like you're down in the Southlands, and you walk up north for a while, and you're like, this looks like a great, nice flat place to be, and next to a river, and then boom, you
The
done.
flow.
Big flow.
Big
Yeah.
flow.
Big flow, gotcha.
I do have a question about why it's called the Missoula floods.
Floods.
Like, isn't Missoula a pretty specific spot, but the lake was like giant?
I don't know why exactly it's called the Missoula floods, and I don't know
Is Missoula like
what the origin of the word Missoula.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
I would
right.
think.
I don't know if it's based on the town or if it's.
I think it would be the other way around.
The Missoula was word before was the town. Yeah, it was like the full of that region or something.
Right. The town is named after something about that
Should
region.
ask AI Google.
What does Missoula mean?
Like, I don't think there was a university at the time.
those fish were
The floods are
known as-
named
Oh, yeah.
after.
Was there fish? No, it was glacial water. There weren't fish in it.
There might have been fish.
Swimming in a glacier, right?
Fish like cold water.
Interesting.
Missoula means place of the small bull trout.
Fish.
Fish.
Damn. That timing was. But
Not
water.
all fish, but
Some
lots
fish.
of fish, like trout, like salmonids, like cold water.
Salmon?
Sam.
Salmonids. That's the
Salmonids?
scientific.
I jump on
I don't know if
it.
it's the genus,
Salmonids.
but like
I don't
trout,
know what it is.
trout,
RS
salmon,
and
they're all in the same genus, family. I don't know, but so yeah.
I don't know
call
what
them
you're talking about.
salmonids. They're cold water species.
Okay.
So this guy in the 1920s is the first one to like theorize that these floods happened because there's these areas, the channeled scablands in eastern Washington, that kind of look like a giant lake bed or something. Like there's these, and there's I found a cool picture.
Do
can
you
put
think?
this
I have a
down.
question
Put
about
that
the
too.
Missoula thing. Do you think the guy that discovered it was going to Missoula and realized there was floods?
I mean, he was, for what I read about him, he was kind of in the region, and
I don't understand what I'm looking at. Is that
There's-
grass in the middle?
yeah, it's like a mesa or something.
So
It's
like
copper
around
up
the-
higher, and everything around it is.
So it's like, oh, that's what
washed
the edge
out.
of the lake looks like.
It looks like the
Yeah.
bottom of a giant lake. And there's also there's huge boulders in the Willamette Valley.
That couldn't have gotten
That-
there on their own.
Yeah, the rock types, the geology of these boulders don't match anything around. And the theory is
boulders.
These are
here.
Montana
they're
boulders.
Yeah, they're Montana boulders. They're like, these are Rocky Mountain rocks. They're giant.
And boulders.
And they're huge. And
Wow.
the theory is they came in on like big giant pieces of glaciers and ice.
Is that where
floated in, or the flows were so fast that it transported these massive boulders, then dumped them in the Willamette Valley.
That's crazy.
But there's like a lot of big rocks down in southern Oregon coast, and every day I see a big truck driving out north with huge, giant boulders that they bring.
Bigger. These are bigger.
Bigger than that. Okay.
Bigger. Huge.
Like every
Why-
day you see trucks hauling giant boulders.
Yes,
Why?
because they're mining. They're going to.
Quarries.
They're
there.
quarrying.
Not like massive, but
They're cutting rocks out of the side of the hills, and they're bringing out north to lay down your patios.
I was gonna say decorative rocks.
I don't know what they're doing with them, but they're giant. They're chained.
Why?
Just 2 rocks on a huge flatbed truck. Huge. Chained down, just cruising.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah.
I see them
They're
every
giant.
day. And then the logs everywhere. It's a final
And then the
destination
logs.
nightmare. It's
The
a final
logs.
destination nightmare.
It is
North
a
on the
final
101
destination
for an
nightmare.
hour to get to
that
work.
is something that our generation has to live with, and I hope
Every day.
I hope our
Yeah.
kids don't have that fear driving
Like
behind
a
the log.
traumatic movie like that.
I mean, I hope everyone has a healthy fear of logs. tied to
There's
a
a
truck.
healthy
I don't trust
fear,
that
and then
shit.
there's
don't know.
like seeing it, like I didn't even see the movie, but I've seen the scene.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I need some
Yeah.
stats on how many people have actually been killed by logs falling off a logging truck.
I don't want to talk about that.
I bet it's less than getting struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it's less.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, probably, why did ice ages end? And if climate change wasn't happening, would we be having another one?
These are big questions.
Ice Age is because
That
climate
movie
changes.
only could be an hour and a half long before everyone got bored.
and
Wait, why? What did you say? Why?
because climate changes,
But
but slowly over time. And
okay,
climate change, like anthropomorphic or human caused climate change, is just speeding up a lot of the, like if we
I think so.
were controlling the dials.
Yeah,
I
and
think
like if we had
well,
done nothing to impact the climate somehow, like we had like from day one, we're like,
If we never domesticated animals,
yeah,
basically,
French
that's
bulldogs?
the thing.
I
We
mean,
never
another ice
domesticated
age
crops
will
like
happen.
those.
it will.
I mean, I can't
change.
say for sure. I don't.
I think one
But,
time
yes.
Our daughter asked about the ice age, and I started Googling, and there's been like a lot of ice ages.
Yeah,
I
there's
think they're
been a
kind
lot
of
of them.
cyclical. Like,
And there's been times where the Earth has been warmer than it is. There's been like hot ages. I don't know what to call them, but sexy.
that's why I called the summer.
Ages, brat summer.
But yeah, but it happens over thousands of years. You know, it's
Yeah.
so that's the thing with anyway.
Yeah.
You want to learn? Here's some other fun facts. So the flow of these was insane, and the amount of water was crazy.
which is the component of flow.
Which is a component of flow.
God, I
Ice.
Speed and water.
So, yeah, when the floodwaters met log and ice jams near Kalama in southwest Washington, which I looked up, it's like near St. Helens, Oregon, not too far from Portland. Which I don't know why is St. Helens called St. Helens when it's
Oh yeah, that
not
is
near
called St.
Mount
Helens.
St. Helens?
yeah.
There's a good disc golf course out there.
There's so many bad names.
Anyway, the water caused a backup, filled the entire Willamette Valley to a depth of 300 to 400 feet above sea level.
Jeez.
And
Like-
Portland's at like 20 feet above sea level. So
Oh my
Portland
gosh.
was 300 to 400 feet underwater
Wow.
God.
during these floods.
How tall is Big Pink?
Well, it continues to say if floodwaters of that magnitude covered Portland in 2010, Only the tops of the West Hills, Mount Tabor, Rocky Butte, Telly Butte, and Mount Scott would be visible.
Oh.
So like the top of Mount Tabor is like Tabor Island.
Wait, you guys, this is fun. Big Pink is 536 feet tall.
Okay,
Oh,
so
so it'd be peeking
just,
out.
just a little
Big
pink
Pink.
out of the water.
if you were having
Beautiful.
drinks at the top,
Yeah.
of
Oh, you'd be
the
safe
fine.
from the PCG.
You'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Long as you didn't- As long as it was still
Some
standing.
California rolls.
But I
drinks
bet
in
they
there.
still wouldn't be able to get like steak bites and stuff up to the top if it was under.
I mean, you couldn't last that long. You'd have a great view for the floods.
Oh, as it came in? It'd be fun. I'd be like, another round of beers.
You think about getting freezing and then you would die.
There'd be fish. Cold water salmonids.
Stop saying
I
Salmonids.
keep thinking you have an accent when you say it. Like,
It's hard because there's the LM salmonid.
But so was there in salmon. Anyways, I have one more question.
That's true.
Last question, maybe. Oh, you said that guy theorized that this happened, but it sounds like since then they figured out it did happen. He just had a theory.
Here's the
and then
first
they-
one. So, and part of it is what I was reading. 'Cause at the time, there was this theory of uniform something. But it was basically, there was a theory in science that like everything changed slowly over time, and like catastrophic events didn't cause things. And so he was like, there were these massive floods, and everybody was like, no, like that, it's like,
Dramatic.
how much water? How fast was it flowing? 10 times more than all rivers on Earth? No, that's insane. You are insane.
Gary, you're being dramatic.
Yeah. And so there was, but as science goes, there's been over the past 100 years more and more evidence that supports the theory and growing things. So yeah, it was an insane theory that this guy had at the time, and it turned out to be right.
And his name was Gary?
His name was J. Harlan Bretz, and his first name was J. Just the letter J.
What? You're being dramatic. Sorry, I said Gary earlier. Since he's to everyone I know, you want to know.
I always need to know the real names. Every guy. Well, I did not know anything about that.
Cool. Yeah. It's one of the most, like, geology blows my mind constantly. The more the geology classes I took in undergrad, learning about stuff like that. It's like that happened in the past.
Right.
And it was
it's so weird to wrap your brain
1,000
around.
years ago, which in geologic time is like last week.
Right, in terms of the like age of the Earth, it's like a
Like,
little
when did
blip.
dinosaurs walk the Earth? To Google.
Hey, Siri.
Birds went extinct about 66 million years ago.
Million.
66
Okay,
million.
so yeah, million versus a couple thousand.
Yeah.
Bam.
That's
That was
wild.
dropping a little bunch.
So
So
they went extinct today. Also, about 75% of the Earth's animals also died.
Shout out mammals.
Yeah. Wow. That's like when a bunch of people retire at your company. You're like, moving up.
So,
walk through
Is it-
and no one's
dinosaurs are boomers.
Yes.
Oh,
Original
100%.
boomers.
Oh my. Robbie, I'm glad you're first because yours was very informative and scientific and interesting, and mine's about to be weird.
All right.
How weird. Is it really about gorilla?
Well, so I'm curious if either of you have ever heard of Aleister Crowley.
Was that a character in To Kill a Mockingbird?
Is that our friend?
No.
You have a friend named Aleister.
Wow. Wait, what's the name you said?
Aleister?
What's the
It's-
full name?
Aleister.
I've heard that name before.
So
Aleister
Aleister is the
Crowley.
Gaelic version of Alexander, because Aleister Crowley's name was actually
Alexander.
Edward.
Crowley.
His real name was Edward
What?
Alexander.
Wait, real name?
His born name was Edward Alexander.
And he goes by Aleister.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to just kind of front load a little bit on this stuff. So the reason
He was an emo kid.
The reason I know about Aleister Crowley is because I really got into Led Zeppelin in high school. And I don't know even how I found information on the web back then. but I found this stuff. So I got
You
first.
have-
AOL.
I'm going to walk you through my brain,
Alta Vista.
my brain map. Here we go. So Led Zeppelin. Yes. Give me more. You need to know everything about them. What are these symbols on their albums? They're so cool, right? Do you know about the 4 symbols of Led Zeppelin?
No, please tell me.
I've
So
seen
this-
symbols.
So there's 4 symbols. So if you love Led Zeppelin,
Oh wait, their albums were named like 1, 2.
not that. There's each member of the band has
Just
a
trying
like
to add something.
no, yes, you correct.
Okay.
Each member of the band has a little like symbol that represents them,
Like Prince.
That's basically
like Prince. So,
But they weren't the names of the albums.
because
it's just the members that had symbols.
the members of it. So
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
Robert Plant was the lead singer. His is like a pretty little feather in a circle. The
Plant.
4 members of Led Zeppelin: Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Bonham, and John Paul Jones.
Joel.
So they all had different symbols.
Which one was Aleister?
No, be patient, please.
Sorry, N-word.
Yeah. So Jimmy Page had a symbol, and his was like ZOXO. Zoso, everyone calls it.
Oh, I've seen that.
You see the Zoso. It's like a kind of fancy looking Zoso. Look it up. And we
Yo,
put images of,
Zoso.
there's lots of images.
So on the
Here.
Instagram.
Yeah. So and I was reading about Jimmy Page because I was so into Led Zeppelin.
See the
And,
guitars?
he was the guitarist. One of the best guitarists, people will say. So he really got into the occult, and he was a follower of Aleister Crowley. And that's why he got into like symbols and stuff and made the band choose like 4 symbols.
Yeah, I'm looking at these 4 symbols, and
They're all different.
they're very different. Well, I mean, like 2 are kind of similar, and 2 of them are
like
oddball.
Celtic and 2 are weird, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So John, let me see if I get it right. John Bonham, the drummer, is just 3 intertwined circles, like a tri-circle, like
Good counts. It's a Venn diagram of 3 overlapping circles.
very titular. Fitting, hello. And then
It's kind of
John-
titular.
John Paul
Venn
Jones,
diagrams
the
are
bassist,
titular.
is like a trinity flower with a circle around it. It's another kind of Celtic feature.
Yes, no.
Oh, yeah.
And then Robert Plant is the feather, and then Jimmy
And then
Page is
Zoso.
Yeah, it's like, Zoso,
Yeah.
you're right.
With like a knife on the bottom.
Yeah. So I just remembered this the other day when you were like, choose a topic to talk about. And I was like, that weird thing, Aleister Crowley and the weird Satanist stuff or whatever. Let's read about that.
Satanist.
So
I'm still waiting for the
I know.
connection here.
Okay,
This is
so
great.
I'm going to tell you, Aleister Crowley, a turn of the century magician, a poet, a mountaineer, a wackadoo all about town, all over the world.
I hate this guy.
Yeah. He was a trust fund freak. He had a
It sounds
trust
like
fund.
Justify the original Justifari.
Yeah, he had a wacky life. So I just did a
Have you
deep
ever met the
dive.
Burning Man?
He would have gone to Burning Man. So I'm just going to walk you through. I did a deep dive around Aleister Crowley, and I'm going to tell you about some of the weird stuff that he got into. And just so you know, he influenced a lot of bands from like the 70s, right? So he lived.
He was a rich kid named Edward.
A rich kid named Edward, born in England.
Chose the name Aleister Crowley.
Yeah. And then really got into it.
Do you have
So-
dads?
No. There's some pictures. He looked so different in like all the parts of his life, like very different. So he was born in 1875
Whoa.
and then died in 1941.
Wait, what? When was Led Zeppelin?
Led Zeppelin. Jimmy Page was born in 1944. So he
Okay.
only overlapped. So he like found this guy's book after he was dead.
Oh,
Do you believe in
okay.
reincarnation?
No. It's not like that. I mean, I don't. Well, I read about his beliefs.
What, 3 years between Aleister Crowley's death and Jimmy Page's birth?
That is not
That's-
how reincarnation works, sweetheart.
No, that's the time it
You said you
needs.
don't believe in it.
It takes 3 years. For
No,
the,
it was an overlap. He died in 47 and he was born in
Oh,
44.
Oh.
Okay, so it's just wacky, weird stuff, you guys. So and also the Beatles like were influenced about him. Like they used lines from his poems. They, Jimmy Page bought his house that he lived in. Yeah, and then opened a bookshop to make like more occult books available for people. Like Jimmy Page really got into it. Also, I was updating my knowledge on Jimmy Page. She's definitely a predator who dated women that were wildly underage. Like his long-term partner was 40 years older than him.
40?
To read about it. Okay.
When
Read
did you
about
start
it.
dating?
We can't talk about it. Okay, so Edward was born in 1975, October 12th. He's a Libra. He would have really been into that. So he
Edward.
founded a religious belief called Thelema, Thelema, and he decided he was the prophet of Thelema, right? So he also was a huge influencer of L. Ron Hubbard, if you can believe that.
Oh, yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard was like into Thelema and then founded his own religion
Wow.
after the fact. So this guy,
Scientology. So this guy.
Yeah. he laid a lot of ground roots for some weird stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
And some dope stuff.
Oh, Ron Hubbard? Oh,
Led
Led
Zeppelin.
Zeppelin. Yes, dope stuff. Okay. I was like, I love Led Zeppelin. I hate L. Ron Hubbard. Okay. So the big religion dilemma that he wrote a book called The Rule of Law. Just The Rule of Law. That's the name of
That's
my book. That's my
I
Bible.
mean,
It's The
you
Rule
have
of
to
Law.
be a certain person to write the rule of law.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to be like a cult leader.
Yeah. And he told everyone it was dictated to by
Of course it was.
IWAS. AIWASS. Sounds very Mormonish, right?
Never heard of him.
Wait,
like
what'd you
Alright.
say? To buy it?
Ooh.
He was dictated
Oh,
the teachings
buy
of
it.
the rule of law by this random deity that he kind of made up.
Got it.
And his like phrase or the common phrase for Thelema was "do what thou wilt." So
do whatever you
do
want.
whatever you want, bro.
I
And
can
this
see what
guy
Led
did.
Zeppelin bought
So
it.
listen
Or
to
did
this,
he
like-
literally do what thou wilt? Like wilting, like
Yeah.
like
No.
dying.
That-
Do what makes you suffer.
I'll show you some of that.
To
So let me run
how
into this.
Wilt.
Okay, so he's born to a Christian
Chamberlain.
family. His dad dies when he's 11, so big sad.
Okay. Get
And
it?
that's like a turning point for him. He goes a little wacky, and he's like, he hates Christianity. He's like, that's boring, and I want to get into weird stuff. And he starts studying kind of like different beliefs and religions. And so
Was there culty shit back then?
there was. So he kind of got into it. He was kind of like religion stuff. But then later he joined this like very magic. I'll explain how he got into magic and stuff.
Yeah, where's the magic?
Yeah.
Haven't heard yet.
Where is the magic?
So he just have to get into these other facts about him. He was climbing the Alps when he was 19.
Okay.
So he's a mountaineer.
Can I just interrupt and say our daughter said that she wants to climb Mount Everest and like paraglide off of it.
Whoa, that's a great idea. But also sounds terrifying and scary. And
Very dangerous, yeah.
Yeah. You let her do it?
I don't have the heart to tell her about how many people have died trying to just
You'll
climb
just be
Mount
walking-
Everest.
I don't
Or a
think
bunch
it's
of
as hard
bones
to
to
climb
do.
Mount Everest anymore. It just sucks because
There's so much
it's-
trash up there.
Yeah, I think it's so commercialized. It's like you can do it, but it's just like you're in a line, you're in traffic,
Oh, there's a lot of people doing it.
and you might still die.
So this guy was on the very cusp of the cool climbing thing. He was climbing before it was cool, and yeah. So his dad dies. He's climbing the Alps. Oh, when his dad died, he gets his inheritance, right? So there's the trust fund part. So he's all the things you're gonna hear from here on out. He's just living, riding off daddy's money, doing not a drop of work. It's wacky.
What a dream.
It's
Yeah,
horrifying. Really, everyone needs to work.
at
So-
least until like
Hot
you
take.
get through like your 20s.
So he starts.
If I got an
studying-
inheritance like that, it's
Yeah.
Win 11. Yeah. No. I would be-
11.
So yeah, I think that's a great time to
I
get
would-
your inheritance in your 30s.
Yeah.
I'd be so appreciative.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
When you really need it.
Yeah.
No,
I would
so-
not be sitting at this table today if I got rich at 11.
You wouldn't want to hang out with us?
That's rude.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
I mean, these
I'd
are
be
good friends of
wackadoo.
ours.
You'd be like,
Wackadoo. Robbie
eating bubble
didn't
tape.
once challenged my usage of the word wackadoo, and I had to explain to him it's short for wackadoodle. And he did not believe me, and we had to look it up.
It's a real word.
yeah.
wackadoodle's a weird
Okay.
word.
So
I thought you made it up.
Aleister, he was of course like sent to some like religious boarding school, and he was like, "Fuck this shit." So anyway, but he goes to Cambridge, studies at Cambridge. He's like 20. He studies mountaineering and poetry.
At Cambridge,
Studied
study mountaineering.
I don't know.
He like made his own major.
And my
I
next
mean,
note says,
I took a pool class, like billiards class at U of O.
yeah,
I took scuba diving at U of O.
you
Yeah.
study whatever you want, especially back in the day before this was like real school.
You
It
can
was just a
design your
bunch of
major.
men doing whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Keep rich. Before science, I guess science existed, but
It was a little.
goofy goofy. Okay, so he was sleeping
course he
with
was.
sex workers. He got
Oh.
gonorrhea.
How do they know that?
So this is part of it. Like he was born Christian. He was born into this like kind of constricted society. And then at some point his dad dies and he's like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to study different religions and I'm not going to follow the rules of everyone and what they're telling me to do. He contracted all the diseases and he used all the drugs. Wow. It's
Gotta
wacky.
get them all.
What year was this? He died in 1941.
Oh yeah. Let me go back to it. So like
Born in
he's born in
1870.
75. And so he's 20. It's
1855.
1850.
yeah. So we're just on the cusp of the turn of the century.
It was a hard year.
It's a tough time. Oh, we used to have that game where you would just make up something that happened the year of the score of our Washers game.
Oh yeah, we used to play this game called Washers, which is like cornhole, but like when certain scores would happen on each side, I would make up a fact about that year. But it made me realize that or look up them when Woodrow Wilson was president was 1911 because I always used to get called out on making it up, but then it was actually true.
Nice.
You know, it's a crazy thing that, not to totally derail this, but that like at the same time all this shit's going on, like the Wild West is happening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the context.
That's why I was trying to
appreciate
picture
that.
what year it was.
Yeah.
Well, but no,
That's
it
so
blows my
weird.
mind that like Wyatt Earp, I just looked him up. He was born in 1848. He died in 1929.
Oh wow.
Oh.
So like late
Overlapping, yeah.
1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah, it feels like
Damn,
such
he
a different
Wow.
world.
100% a different
Yeah.
world. Yeah. There's men in California like lassoing cows and like shooting each other with no law. And there's a dude in England with a totally organized, structured society with rules and laws. And he's just like,
living
just
like there's no law.
Mountaineering with his trust funds, paying in a college.
So he also eventually gets syphilis, which also I think might contribute to some of the other things. Yeah. So
A little wackadoodle hanging
he's
down there.
23. He's gotten probably out of college and he's been just sleeping around, climbing mountains, doing whatever. And he gets into alchemy.
Alchemy.
Alchemy. I don't even know
Is
how to
this-
explain what alchemy is to you. I tried. I read a whole Wikipedia article about alchemy.
The
Other
sci-
than
the
video
science of
games.
magic.
It's
Yeah.
science of magic.
Skyrim.
That's exactly what it is.
This is where necromancy comes
You're
in.
just, this is kind of a necromancy reference.
Okay, science of magic, but I think of it as more related to like
Chemistry.
potions.
That's what I thought. No,
Potions.
it's nothing
Yeah.
to do with potions,
What?
actually.
It's not potions.
Yeah, it's funny because I think of like the Harry Potter class.
Yes.
Like
Aaron, I 100% was like chemistry. Alchemy is like
Snake
mixing
fish then?
different things together. No,
Yeah,
it's
snake.
like
Parachute.
saying weird stuff.
Saying weird stuff
I don't know.
like
But they didn't talk about
spells,
potions.
like
Yeah.
incantations.
A little bit. Okay. So anyway, he joins Aleister joins the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Wait, say that again.
So this is where you guys asking, was there magic stuff going on in England? Yeah, there was a Golden Order of the Dawn, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Hermetic order. What does hermetic mean? Like hermetically sealed. What does that mean?
No air.
So airless.
secretive.
Oh, secret.
A hermetic seal ensures perfect waterproofing.
Sorry, it probably meant it was a secret society.
Wait,
Dry.
relating
It's dry.
to
Secret society.
an ancient occult tradition encompassing alchemy, astrology, and theosophy.
Theosophy.
The words just keep getting weirder. You can't. There's no
Theosophy is any of a number of philosophies maintaining a knowledge of God may be achieved through spiritual ecstasy, direct intuition, or special individual relations.
It's not just theology,
no,
but I miss the ecstasy.
This is like
Okay.
Yeah.
having flashbacks to terrible conversations at parties.
Yeah.
So we can't. This is the thing, you guys. I didn't go too deep into the like sideways alleys of this because I could click through a million Wikipedia articles to try to get to the end. I just want you to know Aleister was weird.
When did Aleister live at the Lorax in Eugene?
He probably would have stopped by there if he knew about it. So he joins the Golden Dawn. He studies magic and stuff, and then he gets into a fight with the other magicians, and he gets kicked out.
A fight? Like a magic fight? Like
Not
a wizard
magic
fight?
Like, I founded this order, blah, and I did this spell, and this alchemy is my thing. And then they're like, no, I did it, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, they go to like court over some nonsense of a book or something. And then I'm like, you have to get out.
Not like when Gandalf and Sauron
No,
fought.
it's not. There's sorry. And he spelled magic with a K. Okay.
I don't
So
want that.
It's
Is it
nice.
in this guy?
He's really
So,
annoying.
He's going by Aleister now?
He's Aleister. There was a whole thing about why he chose Aleister.
When did he? Was he like 13? Or
I think when he was in Cambridge.
so in
Yeah.
college.
So if you can imagine that
He was a
person you met
fan.
in college who like changed their name randomly, and this is not related
Know
to
a few of
gender
those.
stuff at all, but like the person that just was like, you need to call me this or whatever. Okay, 1900, Aleister's
Usually is.
25. He goes to Mexico and he's mountaineering. Okay, he's climbing
Goddamn
mountains.
40 years to go. Totally done.
So he's taking his trust fund. He's just bouncing around the globe.
And this
okay?
is
I
he
can't
got in
even
his wizard fight.
Yeah,
picture.
he got kicked out.
How did he get to Mexico? On a boat?
It must have been by boat, right?
Yeah.
There's no
Feet.
planes.
He must have flew on a broom.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So he's taken a ship.
Those are witches, though. I don't know if men can fly on brooms.
That
Seems
seems
no way.
pretty sexist. To the warlock community.
Okay. So he goes to Mexico.
Teleporter.
He's climbing mountains. He pops over to Tokyo. And then he
What?
drops into India. So it's like,
What?
this is the crazy
Don't
part.
these
It's
journeys take, like-
1900.
When you're a wizard, you can teleport.
That's the
I
other thing.
think it's teleportation.
Okay, so one other fact that I didn't even have in my notes, a lot of people were like, he is Secret Service for Britain. They thought he was a spy.
Oh, like
I don't even know what wars are going on right now.
I can't. This is the
too
craziest.
Yeah, I
person.
need to
Yeah.
like position to like how long does it take to get from Mexico to Tokyo in that
In 1900.
yeah.
months.
1900.
Yeah.
Months.
This is pre-Titanic.
Like half a year.
You usually take the Titanic.
but like the Lusitania or something. Lusitania or something. You know,
With
you're hopping on
ships.
one of those boats. Okay.
Hop on a boat.
Right.
How hard could it be?
So this is a wacky thing, right? And then how
Bananas, what
long
do they
does it
cost?
take to get
$12?
around? Like, where's the boat go to get to Mexico? And then you're traveling by train, horse,
To where?
buggy to get to the
Like,
place
once
where
you're
you're
there.
then climbing a mountain and then coming down. And then you're like, okay, time to go to Japan.
Yeah, that is
What?
wild.
It's this guy, trust fund.
Also, it's kind of crazy to
Maybe.
me that, like, mountaineering was
What's
just...
it saying?
But in Mexico, in the 1800s,
Mhm.
they were just dudes like that amount.
British men have roamed the earth
That's true.
for a long time and done whatever they wanted
colonization.
anywhere they wanted.
Ooh,
Sticking
yeah, this was
flags
like-
everywhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I guess if you were a Brit, you could hop on a boat and go wherever you wanted.
Oh, you're British? Yeah. Free
First
travel.
class ticket. Here you go for free, sir. Have fun. Please explore the world. So he goes to Tokyo. I don't even know what he did there. He went to India, got malaria. And then he tried to climb K2.
Damn.
It was the first time anyone tried to climb K2.
Wow.
He was the first.
He was in the first group of men that tried to climb K2. Why is the mountain named K2?
I
I
was
tried
just
to look
wondering
into
that.
that and I can't even. He got 20,000 feet up and turned back. I don't know how tall it actually is. So
I think it
It's
has
just
something to do with the mountaineering.
How tall is K2?
So he's just like in India and then like going bopping around the pole, bopping around the mountains.
K2 is 28,251 feet.
So close.
So close, 8,000 more feet.
8,000.
And no, the first person to climb Mount Everest, Edmund Hillary, did it in 1953.
53.
Also, look at what Edmund Hillary looked like.
So this was in 1902. 1902, he's trying to climb K2.
It's like Benedict cucumber patches down.
Yeah. He looks like a cucumber.
All right. K2 is the world's second tallest mountain behind Everest.
Yeah. So after he does not complete climbing K2, but
Wait, is that why they call it K2? Because it's second?
Or was it in the same mountain range as Everest?
Yeah. It's
There's another mountain he tried to climb
The
later.
kilometers are the highest, but the second K2.
I love that. So then he goes to Paris
from
Easy.
from India.
India.
So, bop, 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 boop, whatever, I'm in Paris. It's 1903. He's 28. He meets Rose Edith. And she's like, got this arranged marriage set up for me. He's like, I'll marry you to save you from this weird arranged marriage. And then everyone, he's like friends with her brother or something. I never gets pissed at him for marrying her. And then so she gets out of that bad marriage. And then they just go in 1904 to honeymoon in Cairo. Cool, right? So meet a random chick, marry her for funsies, and then take her to Egypt. No big deal.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do?
Climb a pyramid.
Right. Did you fight everything else out?
I was just reading about K2. Going down a deep rabbit hole.
For another episode, bro.
It could be a whole episode.
I know. So there was thing so the whole time also he's poetry. He's a poet.
He's poetry.
writing. He's
He
writing.
is poetry.
He's writing poetry everywhere he goes.
Is
He's
it
writing
good?
poetry. Oh,
Wait, is this the book that Led Zeppelin gets into? The poetry book?
he wrote many poetry books.
That doesn't answer my question.
Led Zeppelin.
Wait,
Page specific.
Aleister did?
Oh, Aleister.
Aleister.
He wrote many books. We should look into his poetry.
Alakazam.
Wait, books of poetry?
Yeah.
But wait, what
So
are...
while he's in Cambridge, he's writing poetry. While he's in Mexico, he's writing poetry. While he's in Nepal, while he's climbing mountains, he's writing poetry.
Oh,
While
yeah.
he's studying magic, he's writing poetry.
That's great. I was curious about the members of Led Zeppelin. What did they discovered a book of his, right?
Just Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page. He discovered one of
The
his.
Rule of Law, the big one with the magic book. So the other members of Led Zeppelin aren't necessarily into Jimmy Page's weird ideas.
Okay,
Yeah. Just,
but he was the most talented.
I mean, that's debatable. They all did different instruments.
But if you had to choose,
Rubber Plant's voice. And John Bonham, amazing drummer.
Bon Jovi was in Led Zeppelin.
John Bonham.
Oh,
You're a musician, bro.
On him.
Okay. Anyway, back to Aleister Crowley. So he later fell in love with Rose Edith.
Later.
Yeah, aren't they married?
So
He married her for funsies because she had to get out of a bad situation. He had money and he was like, I'll help you. And
my
then
sister
he
did
falls
that
in
one
love with
time.
her later and he writes her poetry.
Oh.
So he was studying Buddhism. In
Right.
Mexico, he's
But
studying.
he's in Egypt, and that's when the aliens talk to him.
Yeah.
And
No, he's studying ancient.
according
Egyptian.
to the History Channel,
Yeah.
ancient aliens influenced ancient Egyptian
Yeah.
society.
That's also, I mean, also L. Ron Hubbard's talking about aliens, so quite possibly it's all aliens. But that's a little reductive.
Is Cairo just a portal to an alien world?
Do you want to go
Like leave?
to Egypt?
Oh. No, not if there's aliens.
What about good food, though?
But yeah.
People, okay.
Anyway.
So he is studying Egyptian stuff. He's writing his crazy book, no big deal.
Talking
And-
about aliens.
Talking about aliens or
Like that
studying
movie with
Egyptian stuff.
what's the movie where
Oh, Stargate.
Oh, that's
Yeah, that's Egyptian aliens.
No, what's
There you go.
what's the movie about talking to aliens?
Contact.
Contact.
No.
The other one.
The
I was
one
trying to
with
think what
Kane
the
and
name
Adams?
of the other day, and I couldn't think of it.
Oh, Arrival.
Arrival.
It should be called Contact too, honestly.
Well, it's happened to Aaron and I recently. We've been doing so many like movie marathons of different directors and actors and things. And the movie Frequency. Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah. You were telling us about that too.
Tell me about it.
It's like Dennis Quaid communicating over a radio to his son in the future, and they have to solve a crime together.
I think I did. This is like
It's worth a watch.
I feel like I did, or I wanted to. I don't know. There's like ghosts of memories past in my brain about that.
But we were getting it confused with Contact, so then we had to watch
Oh, yeah, no,
Contact
that's
as
different.
well. Matthew McConaughey completely miscast in that movie.
Oh yeah, it's awful. It was before he was good at acting.
Yeah,
I don't know why he was good at acting and then bad at acting and then good at
right. He's had like, I mean, people talk about the reconnaissance, like,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but then Arrival, yeah. Very different from both of us. Which Interstellar usually gets lumped into all these as well.
It's different.
Different.
There's no aliens in Interstellar.
The Contact is similar.
Oh yeah, I need to watch Contact again. I watched it as a kid, thinking it was an alien movie,
Yeah.
and it was an adult movie about like loving your dad or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't get it. There's no aliens. This sucks. I wasted the last 2 hours of my life.
You wanted an
This is
Independence Day.
stupid.
And you
Yes,
thought,
I wanted another Independence Day. It
Jodie
was also like
Foster.
around the same time as
oh my
Independence
God,
Day.
like figure
I
out
was
some
like,
things
fuck,
about her
this is
family.
so stupid.
Okay. So here we get into some weird, fun, goofy stuff about Aleister Crowley.
Oh,
so
finally.
he has his first kid, Lilith, in 1905.
Lilith?
Yeah. And they're at Lilith.
From Frasier.
No, and then while his wife's recovering from having birthed a baby, he writes a book of dirty poems,
Like you do.
the title of which is Snowdrops from a Curate's Garden. And if you look up the titles of these poems, oh my God,
I'm on it.
things I don't need in my life. It's crazy. Then he starts a publishing company, no big deal. And then he goes and tries to climb. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's the third tallest mountain in the world. It starts with a K.
Kilimanjaro.
Kangchenjunga.
I would prefer if someone else had it than me. Yes. Kangchenjunga.
Where is it?
It's in India somewhere. Nepal.
That same mountain
Yes.
range.
So while he's trying to climb the third tallest mountain in the world, he goes with this like group of men, right? You climb in an expedition or whatever. And so he starts fighting with all these other men. And then some of them are so pissed at him, they just leave. And he's like, you shouldn't leave. There's bad conditions. And then some of them die because they left because they were so mad at Aleister Crowley. And then everyone's like, well,
He
Aleister
killed
was
them.
to blame for those guys dying because the weather was so bad.
Magic fights? Is it a magic fight?
Cursed stuff and such.
This dude sucks.
He sounds like the worst
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
He is saying
Some dude-
his magic little prayers every
Some-
morning. He's like the worst guy at Burning Man.
Yes. No.
I'm picking the titles of the poems from Snowdrops from a Curious Garden.
05.
Yeah, this dude.
Okay, so he does the dirty poems. He starts a publishing company. He does the third tallest mountain. People, I don't even
Doesn't
he,
do.
He doesn't complete it. People die because of him. Then he goes to India. He does some big game hunting. Classic cool dude move.
I like that that's like the least tame thing in all of this story.
His wife and his daughter meet him in Calcutta, but he gets into he shoots some dudes that are trying to rob him and is forced to leave Calcutta. And he goes to China, smoking opium the whole fucking time.
Of
right?
course.
Just cruising, hires some people to take care of his kid and just getting high.
This
the
dude
whole
does.
time.
Right.
Cruising around in China.
Wait, he has a kid?
Yeah,
Yeah, Lilith.
Oh, that's what I
Rose.
think I was learning about poems.
And then he wrote all
Remember
that,
Lilith
all
from
those
Frasier?
poems
Okay. All right.
when
so,
he just started a family.
so
Ironic.
after in the China opium hangout session, this guy went everywhere. It's wacky. I'm like, his dad left him so much money. Okay, so then
Yeah,
he goes to
seriously.
the United
There's no
States by
plans.
himself. He leaves his wife and daughter wherever, and he goes to the U.S. and he tries to get people to fund another climbing of the really dangerous mountain where people died, and that does not work. He's like, imagine just going to another country where you're not from and being like, hey, do you guys want to pay for me to climb a mountain because it's pretty cool?
And tried
What?
to do it. People died.
It was really intense. I'm like, no one's done it before. So you should fund it. I think that actually, that's not the worst in the world because I'm pretty sure people probably crowdsourced Amelia Earhart and stuff.
Like a GoFundMe?
I think that's what used to happen is people would advertise, I'm going to do this amazing feat. And then people would be like, I want to see that happen. I'll give you money so you can live off of this money so you can do that amazing feat. So he doesn't that work. He goes back to England, finds out his daughter died of typhoid.
Oh, no.
Lilith, she's done. All right, his wife drinking alcohol excessively, as you might if you were married to this dude and your
Yeah.
daughter just died. All right, so he blames his wife
Maybe a little
for
laudanum.
the daughter dying because she's an alcoholic. Read, you were in America doing jack shit.
I was going to say, he's never there.
So then it's 1907. He's
Or he's
32.
always there.
They have their second daughter. She slept with him again.
He had.
Second daughter. Yeah. But
What's her
her
name?
name? Lola Zaza.
Lola
Zaza.
Zaza.
C-A-Z-A.
Lola. It's just the name of
Zaza.
one of the Led Zeppelin guys. Zosa.
Yeah,
Zaza
said that
is written
too.
in a book that's even older or some shit. So sorry. So then he's in England. So he's like settling down a little bit. He has a second kid. He's popping around to the parks in England. He's just smoking a ton of hashish. And he's performing his little magical rituals for everyone to see.
A common thread between all these adventures.
Yeah. And so we're going to wind down now here. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that happened that it wasn't as exciting as the early years, but basically,
Steam.
he runs out of money, is what
Oh,
happens.
yeah.
He's starting to run out of daddy's money. He's not even that
That'll
old.
happen.
So, some of the
Start
funny
flying
things.
coach.
Yeah. There's no airplane still. He's hired by the Earl of Tankerville.
I'm familiar. Don't explain.
In that Earl of
Yeah, I know that
Tinkerbell,
dude.
it's like, I need someone to protect me
His name's Earl.
magically.
Wow.
Protect me magic.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta exploit like crazy people
Exactly. I mean,
that are rich.
fair, right? He ran out of all his crazy money. Now he needs to go find other crazy money.
I think if I was rich enough, I might hire someone to protect me magically.
I'm sure
guess.
Gwyneth Paltrow has someone that
Oh,
cleanses
yeah.
her aura every day.
I mean, if
She
you
can
were
afford that.
Elon Musk or something, like, why not? Like, you have so much money, you couldn't spend it on everything.
You might as
Like,
well, just in case.
Yeah, just insurance.
I
Like,
also
yeah.
have a wizard.
Yeah. I'll get a wizard on staff.
I mean, I can't keep engineers hired in Twitter, but I can hire a wizard to protect me.
previous-
The Earl of Tankerville? Is that
don't even
right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Earl of Tinkerville.
Not rich.
Look him up.
That dude. And that's a made up title.
Do you know?
Like, that's a
about-
grifter grifting a grifter.
I like that idea, though. Then he starts taking on students who he's going to teach magic to, and they pay him to teach them magic.
That's what you do, dude. That, yeah.
He probably still has the production company he started, or the he started publishing company.
Publishing company.
He's writing books.
I don't know if he's still has
Publishing
that.
his own poems left and right. I'm
Still
sure.
buying those. Jimmy Page. Idiots.
There was some man.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Earls of Tankerville.
What?
Because it's a real position. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Since 1418.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Where's Tankerville?
Normandy.
So at some point, he divorced his wife because she was an alcoholic. He found a gay lover and started making his own magic order because the dawn of golden light kicked him out or whatever.
Oh, the Hermetic Seal.
Hot. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn had kicked him out, so he started his own little magic group with his gay lover.
All right.
And then his wife was institutionalized due to alcoholism in 1911.
Bummer. Ex-wife.
Yeah. What happened to Lola?
Oh, right
No.
before she got the ability to vote.
Oh, yeah, well, England lady's different.
Yeah, it's definitely different than U.S. Wait, we
Uh,
don't know what happened to his daughter?
I don't know anything about her. We got into a lot of
Good, she got
sex
out.
magic stuff. He got really
Could she still
Wait,
be
did you say
alive?
sex
No,
magic?
she
Yeah.
couldn't.
So maybe Red Hot Chili Peppers was also influenced by this.
Blood sugar sex magic. That is some Aleister
Yeah.
Crowley shit.
So he
Happened
really-
under a bridge.
sex magic. He was all about magic through sex. He was talking to deities and shit.
Some women got the vote in 1918 in the UK, and then in 1928, all women.
So not even she couldn't
What do you
even
mean?
vote.
Something with
I have no idea what I mean. This is Google.
Land holding women that were married to white men that owned the property.
It's crazy because Canada in 1917, good on them. Germany,
Ireland was earlier than that.
well, it's not my little heading here, but Germany 1918, and then UK was some women in 1918. The rest in 1928. Austria, Netherlands 1919, United States 1920.
just land holding women.
I have some things to say about Lola Zaza.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So first of all, that's it. Yeah, the second baby. As an adult, Lola Zaza disowned her father. She married Frank Hill in Paddington in June 1934. They had a child. She died March 9th, 1990
Whoa.
at Battle Hospital in Berkshire. But then I just clicked on something else about her, and it says Lola Zaza was born 1907 as a very sickly child. It is suggested that Crowley named her after actress Vera Lola Neville, with whom he was having an affair while his wife was pregnant.
Cool.
He had so many affairs with
Yeah.
men and women.
You did start with that.
That's where the magic is.
Following their divorce in November 1909, due to both their strained marriage following Lilith's death,
Yeah, his older sister.
and Aleister's adultery,
Yeah.
as well as Rose being committed to an asylum suffering from alcoholic dementia, Rose's parents received custody of Lola.
Whose parents?
Roses.
Oh, so grandparents, maternal grandparents
Oh.
in her custody. That's good. Okay, good.
Get her out of the picture.
Get her out of that situation.
She later met her father when she was 14, possibly for the first time since the divorce. But both came away from the meeting disliking the other, with Aleister going as far as calling her in his diary unmanageable. Lola Zaza would later disown her father as an adult, becoming a nursery governess and marrying and Frank Hill and taking his name. They had a daughter named Elizabeth
Say
Hill.
Who's alive?
Yeah,
So
they had
propane accessories.
They had a daughter named
Oh,
Elizabeth
I love
Hill
it.
from their union. What's Elizabeth Hill up to? The other really.
So some good stuff came out of it, I guess. One normal person.
Somebody got out.
So he's fighting with different people about publishing different things. He's
Shocking.
like writing up books based on stuff that was written before from like the Golden Order or whatever, and then like pistons. People are suing him, whatever. Then he produces a group of female violinists.
What do you mean?
He produced.
Oh, like he
Like-
produces
Oh,
music.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I was like,
I get there in real time. With you.
like
Feed bird them.
It's 1914.
Magic sex.
Broke as a joke. So he's just broke by 1914. So he's born in 1975. 1875. Yeah, 1875 he's born. 1886 he inherits his father's money. 1914 it's all gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. And wait, then he lived for like another 30
He
years.
died when he was 1947 and he died of chronic bronchitis. Honestly, the rest of it was pretty boring.
So he had 30 good years. It's
30
like a
wow.
crazy rich kid.
Yeah,
Yeah, crazy.
It's a great story.
earned it at both ends.
Yeah. So I wanted you guys to know about what inspired my favorite band.
I was going to say he was the first member of Led Zeppelin. It sounds like it.
No, it was Jimmy Page was into him, bought his house, started a bookstore to sell books like he wrote, and then he used it to inspire some of their music.
And the rest of the people weren't into it.
Maybe I read that somewhere in high school. I don't know if that's accurate, but yeah,
They're
Well,
also like Lord of the Rings.
they really like Lord of the Rings, right? Have you listened to the songs that have like basically like quotes from Lord of the Rings in the songs? Oh, that's about to be a whole other topic.
Back when me and Erin used to live together,
Yeah.
I remember you being like, okay, each of us are going to have like a week to educate the other people on like a band or a musical group or something like that. And I'll go first. I'm going with Led Zeppelin. So we're going to listen to Led Zeppelin all week. And I'm going to educate you on all their albums. And like,
I'm such a nerd.
and then like, we never did one after that. Like,
I just wanted to talk about Led Zeppelin.
yeah, exactly.
God.
What would you have done if you?
I mean, these days, looking back, I feel like I probably would have done a Beastie Boys thing, just because there's a lot of interesting history around all their albums because they're so different. And
Oh no, I played Led Zeppelin for our baby and toddler, and he dances to it.
Nice.
Makes me really, really happy.
Our son, who's a year and a half old, is really into the Moana soundtrack right now.
He
He'll
was
just be like
starting
dancing
with
around.
I'm starting with solid classics music so that we're not starting with Disney music.
We just had Moana on,
And
he
you have
was-
another kid, so that would
yeah,
make sense.
and so he was like dancing like wild all over the room. And so now we've put on the soundtrack a few times.
I think you love Moana too.
I'm into it.
It's coming out.
Yeah, there's like a trailer or there's a teaser. or
It's in the
something.
works, yeah. Also,
Yeah.
there's a live action Moana coming out at the same time, which is
Really?
confusing. Yeah,
He does.
I know.
Like
Like,
the cartoon for
I'm
a
done.
reason. Like,
I've never watched any of the
I
like
agree.
live action Lion King.
I never
was
watched that either.
bad. I didn't watch it.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Now we know about floods on the massive plains in the Northwest. Is that technically Northwest? Midwest, Northwest.
Northwest.
And this crazy trust fund that
Yeah, a dude I would have hated to know.
right. That is part of the hate with trust fund kids, that you're just a little bit jealous.
Yeah, for sure.
I think part of that, like the Trustafarian thing, is like it's kids that are not like they're not owning your privilege. You know, it's not
Right.
like you're trying to act like you've been through some struggles.
Yeah. Jenny and Robbie, thank you for joining us at the kitchen table tonight. Thank you for educating us.
yeah, that's
Thank you
Yeah.
for having us.
Now we know.
Now we know. Good night. Love you. Good night.
Have you ever transcended space and time?
Yes. No. Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.